Welcome, everybody. This is the bike sharing episode number 3 of our series of live webinars aimed at helping DePIN developers learn how to build a DePIN project from scratch. I'm not alone on stage today. I'm going to be joined by Simone and just a few from our IoTeX DevRel team, and then a whole bunch of friends from various projects all around the world. Really exciting. Some of them I think you already know, some are new faces, and they actually are pretty exciting projects. So we'll get there in just a sec. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Giuseppe. I'm part of the DevRel team at IoTeX, and yeah, I'll be happy to host this and just get my friends up on stage and get the conversation going. So, quick intro. As I was saying, this is episode 3 of our bike sharing webinar series. I will put the links for bike sharing episode 1 and 2, where we basically went through, let's say, the architecture of your application, how to leverage the IoTeX stack to build your DePIN application. And then in episode 2, actually, it was very interesting. I'll say it in short. I'm sure Simone is going to go through it in just a few minutes, but we worked on tokenizing our asset, our device, the bike, as an NFT. And actually, I will add another link because just last week we were doing a live stream with the Supra Oracle guys, and we basically used this NFT as a collateral in a lending borrowing smart contract. So all that will be in the link below. Let me just start adding people on stage, and we'll get the ball rolling. So first of all, I'll add Simone, Paolo from Think and Dev, Charvel from Wairu, Aurelius from Kairos Research, and Greg from Magma, and Rob from DePIN Connect. So, hey guys, how's it going?
All good.
Awesome.
Yeah, good.
Awesome.
Let's just go around and just do a quick round of intro, and then I would pass the ball to Simone to then get right to the coding. After we do a little bit of that, let's say maybe 30 minutes or so, we'll go back and talk about, your impressions on this. Let's see if we have any questions from the audience. Talk about your own projects, talk about your involvement in the DePIN space, if relevant to the IoTeX ecosystem, etc., etc. So I guess I would like, Simone, go first, so we complete the IoTeX corner, and then we move on.
We're starting with the introductions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty easy on my side. I'm Simone, and Developer Relations Manager at IoTeX, and glad to be here again.
Yeah, exactly. It's episode 3, so by now, like, me and Simone really don't introduce ourselves. I guess, I don't know, we reached like celebrity status at this point. Cool. Right. So Paolo from Think and Dev. Think and Dev has been here on episode 1, as a matter of fact, and Paolo needs to leave before we go back after the coding session. So Paolo, maybe just take a little bit extra time, introduce yourself, what you guys are doing at Think and Dev. I think you guys have a great community based in South America. I think you're super fresh out of a major hackathon that span across 5 countries, in all LATAM. So yeah, go for it.
That's right. Thank you, Giuseppe. Thank you, Simone. First of all, thank you for the invitation. It is a pleasure to us to be sharing with you this space. As you say, I am from Think and Dev. I work as a business developer manager, and Think and Dev is a software factory specialized in blockchain development. These last few months, we created a program called Brain is Path, which aims to create LATAM startups in Web3, in the Web3 world. It was like 5 stages with a lot of hackathons, a lot of webinars with different technologies. We've made like 5 hackathons simultaneously in 5 provinces in Argentina. Then we made a hackathon in Venezuela, another hackathon in Brazil, and another one in Uruguay. So it was quite challenging, and now we are finished this program the next week, which is it's called Endgame, and all the projects that have participated in our hackathon, they're gonna have the opportunity to pitch their projects in front of VCs. So I mean, it was a great year, and obviously we are so happy for what we achieved and what all the projects and all the people have achieved.
Amazing, man. That's super great to hear. So did you pick winners already, or when is that going to be announced?
I mean, there was winners in each hackathon, but more from the technical side. And now the VCs are going to select the project that they most see like they have the opportunity to begin as a startup. So they are going to invest on those projects.
Awesome. That sounds great. Any interest in DePIN sector that you've seen, or you can also say no, it's not a problem.
Yeah, no, I mean, there was a lot of interesting projects. Personally, I was in Bariloche, in one of the provinces in Argentina, but I didn't have really the time to see all the projects because there was a lot of projects participating in simultaneous, but there's a lot of projects going on.
Nice. Yeah, my next trip to Argentina after Buenos Aires, I want to go to San Carlos de Bariloche. Yeah. I think it's...
I hope to see you.
Yeah, exactly.
I have my sister living in there, so we can meet in Bariloche.
Perfect. Free space. Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Paulo. Thanks for being here.
Thanks to you.
So, yeah, of course. Charvel from Wairu, CEO of Wairu and co-founder. We're super happy to have you guys here. Just let us know a little bit about yourself, and we'll talk more about Wairu and your involvement in the DePIN space after the coding session. But just a little sneak peek.
Yeah, well, hello everybody. Thank you so much for the invitation. Very glad to be here and participating, sharing this space with you. Well, my name is Charvel Chedraui. I'm CEO and founder at Wairu. I have dedicated the last 10 years of my life trying to solve the lack of internet access, specifically in Latin America. And now I'm leading Wairu, which is a decentralized internet network built on top of blockchain technology, allowing anybody to become a hotspot operator, share Wi-Fi, and anybody to connect to that Wi-Fi for free or by paying a small fee to avoid ads and get connected anywhere they go. So far, well, we've launched a couple of our mobile apps, and we have over 5 million mapped networks already. I'll leave the rest for later.
Yeah. That was enough. Exactly. Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, for sure. So, Aurelius, let's go with you. So you're leading two very interesting projects. I mean, one is the Ethereum Mexico community. So super awesome. Number two, Kairos Research. So yeah, quick intro, and then we'll talk more later.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here. Well, Ethereum Mexico is a community focused on share everything about Ethereum, like other Ethereum communities. And Kairos Research, we are building a data research platform. We started this year like a blog, and right now we started to explore how to integrate different analytics to the page. Maybe this is the too loaded to read. We are trying to be the Messari for LATAM. It's a good approach to explain the project. And well, let's talk about the DePIN tokenomics in a moment.
Yeah, exactly. Because we actually didn't say it, but episode 3 is going to be all focused on our bike sharing contract and the token economy of our application. And I mean, there is going to be a lot of discussion later on, because obviously there is plenty of ways to go about this. But I think it's better if we let Simone do the coding and talking, and then we have a discussion about that later. So yeah. Awesome. And good for reminding me that to actually mention what the topic of today's episode is. After that, we have Greg from Magma Protocol. So actually had Greg, we met for the first time a few days ago in the space that was organized by IoTeX Daily. Magma is building something really interesting on the IoTeX ecosystem. But Greg, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so yeah, my name is Greg. I'm coming in from Magma Protocol, which is based on Liquidity. So we are here to create a native stablecoin. Ostensibly, it would be a DeFi tool, but when you have all of this DePIN stuff going on, then I'm sure you're going to find some interesting uses for a payment method that's not volatile. So that would be our goal there. Like I say, we are the new kids on the block, so I'm very much here to watch and to listen today. And yeah, we'll launch in December, and we're looking forward to being part of IoTeX and supporting as best we can. We don't look to make enemies. We just want to make friends, and let's just do that kind of happy, clappy Web3 togetherness thing. But we're not looking to compete against anything. We're looking to just provide a decentralized service with the aim of being governed by the community in the future. But our documentation is live, and we'll bring out the dApp and everything forthwith. And that's pretty much me done. I think for the rest of this, I will just take notes and listen to you DePIN gods.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, I love the happy, clappy Web3 thing. So awesome. Yeah, and that's the reason why I'm sharing the docs now about Magma, because you guys are going to little by little publish all sorts of other links and tools and things like that. And we'll talk more about that. There's been a lot of discussion in the IoTeX community about stablecoin, how it could be used for DePIN. And if I'm not mistaken, Simone might have implemented something like that in the smart contract that we're going to look at in just a few minutes. And last but not least, welcome Rob, decentralized Rob from DePIN Connect. Yeah, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Rob. I started working with DePIN Connect. We started this about a year ago, so it's basically an online community. Myself, Gil Troney, started the group, and we basically connect the DePIN projects with their users and their community. So we're also on board with the happy vibes that Greg spoke about. And yeah, we're looking forward to getting to know all these project founders. We've got a big community there in Telegram. We're on Twitter and work with all these projects. So looking forward to learning more about you guys and hearing what Giuseppe has to say today.
Oh, thanks. I think, yeah, Rob is not going to need much of an introduction in just maybe another 2 or 3 episodes. As decentralized Rob will just say it all. Sweet. Okay, I think it's time to get to the meat of this and do a little bit of coding. So we all go backstage.
Yeah, Giuseppe, also feel free. I mean, if you guys want to stay on the screen and discuss during the coding, I mean, I don't want to make it too boring.
I don't think it's ever boring. I think all the content that you share is always super interesting. But yeah, if you guys want, just let me know and I'll add you, on stage if you want to make a live comment right away. That's the beauty of being live. And also, before we get to this, if anyone listening wants to ask a question, something that is not clear, feel free to drop it in the comments, and I'll do my best to get to all the questions. So yeah, let's do that. And Paulo, thank you for joining. And yeah, we'll see you maybe at the next episode if you like to come again.
Thank you, Giuseppe. I'm gonna stay 10 minutes more, and then I have to leave. But thank you again for the invitation.
Awesome, thank you. Cool.
Welcome.
See you. All right, Simone, all yours.
Great. So yeah, today I think Giuseppe did not mention it, but we had a nice survey on Twitter, I think a couple of weeks ago, asking the community what they wanted to listen in terms of the next steps in this bike sharing series of examples about building DePIN applications. So it seems that most people voted for a little bit about token economy and stuff like that. So token economy is a kind of a complex topic, it seems. I am personally not an expert, so I'm just learning with you, and I'm going to share something that I've learned in these days, and we also will try to implement a small part of what we are going to discuss. So token, I will also try to do some on-screen drawing to make this thing more funny for everybody, and also I will try to share something. Decentralized bike sharing episode 3, token economy for DePIN. I just summarized this one into a single sentence, which is about the fact that creating a token economy model for a DePIN bike sharing, in this case it's bike sharing, but for DePIN in general, it requires a good balance between incentivizing participation and maintaining token stability. And this is actually true not only for DePIN, but for any decentralized token economy. You always want to incentivize participation into your decentralized application, regardless if it's related to the physical world, or if it's just a DeFi on-chain application. And of course, maintaining token stability, which means you don't want bad things to happen to your token. And usually this means that, for example, your token gets dumped on exchanges, right? And it loses value, or it becomes too scarce, or it becomes too like too much supply, which basically means you don't want it to be too much volatile in terms of price. And you also want to decide how many tokens you want to have, and how many Web3 concepts you want to implement with these tokens. And the most popular types of tokens that are used in the token economy are stable coins, as we have already mentioned, utility tokens, and I would say these are the two big categories. Stable coins are typically useful for service payments because they are stable, and so this incentivizes people more into using the services because they are not blocked by the fear of token volatility, while utility tokens are usually used for utility. So like rewards, mostly incentivizing behaviors, but also governance and so on and so forth. And you can also decide to have multiple tokens depending on the different utility that you want to give. So one important step when you want to define the token economy of your project is to identify all the actors that are somehow a part of your ecosystem. In this case, I've just picked the two most obvious ones. One is the bike owner, which is the user that decides to invest into this DePIN project to maintain the infrastructure of bikes, like public bikes, and so investing in one or multiple bikes to join this project and earn from people that use their bikes to ride across the city. And then the other actor obvious is the rider, which is the end user that wants to use this infrastructure. So he's willing to pay for using these bikes and use them to ride around the city. And of course, they can also be the same person. Of course, you can both be a bike owner and a rider in this application. Of course, depending on how complex you want to make your project, in this case, you can identify many more different actors. In the case of the bike sharing, I was thinking you could have maintenance providers that could provide bike like fixes or anyway maintenance services to the project. And you can have, for example, the municipality to participate in this project, for example, to incentivize rewards for users to use more the bike sharing rather than the car, and so on. I guess people, you can think of any possible addition and make this application as complex as you want, but we will make it simple and think of the bike owner and the rider. At this point, when you have identified the actors, you also want to identify what types of actions each actor can take and which ones you want to incentivize, which ones you want to discourage. In a DePIN project, the most obvious thing that you want to incentivize is the infrastructure maintenance. So we want actually as many bike owners as possible. So you, of course, have the basic DePIN incentive, which is rewarding bike owners for having their bikes on the street in good conditions, more than one per owner, if it's the case. And so, of course, you have to repay these bike owners or to reward these bike owners. And then, of course, you have the riders. And the riders, the most obvious action that they take is to unlock a bike to basically use it for a ride. And, of course, you want to incentivize this behavior. Other actions could be more on the financial side, for example, trading tokens, right? You have different tokens in this application, so different actors can decide to trade this token, to use it into DeFi applications, and of course to buy it, but also to sell it. So maybe you want to also decide how to incentivize these actors to not sell the token too much. And yeah, basically, these are more or less the main things that we will see. So my decision for this example was to go for a dual token system. The reason is, I mean, the most obvious idea could be like I release a token. I call it, I decided to call it calories, cal, because I want to burn it while you ride. So, of course, could be to define your token, release it, and use it for everything, which would, of course, provide more value to your token, more utility. If you use it also for paying rights. However, these types of tokens, when you use them both for utility and for payment, can become a problem because the value can be very volatile. And so this could make the single token a problem, because if you want to incentivize normal people to and when I say normal, I mean non-Web3 people to use your DePIN project, of course, you don't want to scare them. And the most obvious choice is to use a stable coin for paying for the rides, for the most basic use of the infrastructure. And so I decided to use a stable coin for paying the rides and a utility token for all the rest, mostly for incentives. So in this case, in this example, I will use IOUSDT for ride payments, and these ride payments will also go to the actual bike owners, and this is basically the incentive for them, of course, to participate in infrastructure and to maintain the infrastructure with more bikes. And then we can have, this is again just an example. You feel free to send your comments, propose more ideas. This is just for the purpose of discussion. And so the other token would be a utility coin. I call it BCal, bike sharing calories. And it's supposed to be used mostly for incentives and governance in this application. In terms of tokenomics, the idea in this case for me was to have a pre-minted amount of this token. For example, 1 billion, just to say a number. Pre-minted amounts are good if you want to bootstrap your application in an initial phase where you want to also distribute these tokens, for example, to the community, a certain amount to the community. You want to airdrop them. You want to dedicate some tokens to your team members you want to dedicate some tokens to, partnership development. So pre-minted tokens are usually a good choice in this case. When you need some work, right, in the bootstrap phase, and you need to like allocate different parts of the supply to different initiatives. At the same time, you also want to burn. You may want to burn tokens, and this is a good idea if you want to incentivize people as an incentive to ride more. So if I decide I burn tokens into my token economy, the more people ride, let's say for each kilometer of use of bikes, then I'm incentivizing token holders to use bikes too, because burning tokens will, in the long term, raise the value of the token because it will introduce scarcity. At the same time, you want to balance, right? You don't want your tokens to finish, of course. And so you can also think of minting tokens, and you can mint tokens for providing rewards. Different types of rewards are possible. For example, most probably you are going to introduce some staking to maintain stability of the price of your token. This is to discourage somehow people to dump your token. So you can introduce some staking functionalities where people can stake their BCAL token to get more BCAL tokens as a reward. And in this case, this could be minted. At the same time, you can use this same token for governance. So you can have a DAO that has some like abilities to modify the setting and the configuration of this application in the long term when there will be no administrator anymore. And so these tokens, when you stake them, for example, you can provide the staked amount as the weight for the voting power into the DAO for this application. And the DAO, for example, you may want the DAO to have the ability to mint tokens because in the long term, you may have, I mean, if your project becomes very popular and people start riding really hard, they may, for example, start burning too much, and maybe the price could become not easy to manage, and then you may want to equilibrate, right, by minting, and this can happen upon voting from people who are enabled for governance. As well as DAO can, for example, decide on changing the cost for rides and whatever you want to configure. You want to allow the community to configure. Also, this token, of course, could be exchanged on a decentralized exchange. So on the open market, you could provide liquidity, for example, on Mimo.exchange to allow people to buy this token and trade it. And so this is another incentive, I would say, to like that would help the token economy in this case, as well as, of course, this token is a good choice for like using it into liquidity pools or any other DeFi application when you can pair this one with stable coins or other coins or IoTeX into this like farming or any other DeFi application. So this is more or less the setup that I was thinking of. Yeah, I will try not to do too much coding because I think this was mostly about talking about token economy, and it's mostly impossible to finish anything in terms of coding in a short time regarding this topic. So what I'm going to do, I will actually recap a little bit what where we left last time and what we can create. So last time what we built was that we had
Simone, camera thing. Okay.
Yeah,
no,
it was
good.
dark because I was going to draw.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, last time we were left where we basically had some bikes, right, on the road that could at some point send a bike, like a ride completed message to WebStream. So we used WebStream DevNet to, let's call it WebStream DevNet. to facilitate the data collection from bikes. So the bike is going to send a ride completed message, right? So ride completed to the WebStream DevNet. The WebStream DevNet was in charge for basically receive these messages, verify that it was signed by an actual bike that was registered on the IoTeX blockchain, and then just use the data of this ride to compute the cost for the ride, and then directly minting on the IoTeX blockchain directly minting the cost of the ride to the bike owner. So on the IoTeX blockchain, we had basically a simple ERC20 token that we used for minting these rewards to the bike owner. We had an NFT that I think we called it bike. Not very creative, NFT. And if you remember, we said each time one bike in this ecosystem is manufactured, it will be associated with a unique ID, which will be used to mint an NFT, into the bike NFT contract. And then when the bike owner acquires a bike, the NFT would be transferred to the bike owner address. So you had like a bike owner address with the NFT, and then basically you are going to mint. We were minting the NFT into the bike owner address. And so this was just to introduce the concept, to mostly work on the device firmware side. If you remember, we were sending this type of message where there was the bike unique ID included in the message, and some data about the ride, duration, distance, and so on and so forth. And then we had the whole logic for calculating rewards into the WebStream DevNet infrastructure, which was just triggering some ERC20 to the owner, which basically means no token economy, just some tokens that get minted, but the rider wasn't even paying anything. So what we are going to change now is that we will ignore for a moment where the bike is sending the data. This is still going to be WebStream, but we will talk more about this part in the next episodes. What we get out of this infrastructure is something that is a ZK proof of ride completed, which also carries the bike ID and the information on the ride. But this one can be verified on the blockchain. On the blockchain side, we are going to still have the ERC20 token. We still have the bike NFT. We still have the owner. But at this point, we have bike sharing contract. A bike sharing contract, which is in charge for receiving these proofs from the real world. And we may have, I guess, a staking contract. We're not going to implement all these things anyway. A staking contract, so staking. And yeah, this is our CAL, what I called BCAL, token. And what happens is that at some point, a user, nice user, is going to send like first. That's what I designed, right? But it's just some very quick implementation. So it's going to send a deposit. Let's call it bike deposit. This is kind of a security deposit that any participants should send to the bike sharing contract to somehow as a commitment for the right usage of the bikes. So just basically you're just not stealing the bikes or using them in a weird way. And at some point, any user that basically made a deposit is allowed to start. Okay, so start ride into the bike sharing contract. These things usually, can happen through the bike sharing mobile application, right? So start ride. Of course, this is going to carry the bike ID that the user wants to unlock for the ride. And at this point, when the ride is finished, then you have the bike that will send to during the ride, most probably the bike will start sending some IoT data, right, to our infrastructure, which eventually will end up with a zero knowledge proof of a ride completed with some information about the ride. This zero knowledge proof is going to be sent to our bike sharing contract as well, which is in charge for verifying the proof, and then if the proof is valid, is going to use the ride information to basically send part of the money of the USDT tokens that the user used to start the ride to the bike owner. And depending on your token economy, I also thought that not all the money should go to the bike owner, but part of this money, for example, 15%, could stay into the bike sharing contract as a pool, or could go into, for example, the DAO contract. That could be another contract for DAO, for stakeholders to decide how to use these tokens. So yeah, I would say I think it's pretty simple, even though if it looks complex. So let me see if I have anything else to share on the slides. Yeah, I think no. So I guess we can try to code something, starting from what we left, where we were left last time. How much time do we still have? I think 15 minutes or 20 minutes.
Yeah, we have honestly whatever time you want to take. So
let's try to do it in 15 minutes.
Exactly, something like that. Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna just git clone the previous repository. The repository we have been working on. I'm going to rename it to webinar. And I'm going to git check out into the episode 2. That's where we were left last time. And I'm going to do git actually check. No, okay. Well, let's start from this one. Open VS Code. Let's see if this is big enough. Okay, so these were the files of the episode 2. So we are just mostly going to work on the contract side. So last time as I mentioned, we implemented the bike NFT token. We're not going to touch this one. And we just implemented this anonymous token that was getting minted by WebStream directly to the bike owner upon any ride completed. So the idea is to basically first quickly rename this token into bike calories. And I think the only change I did to this one, yeah, I think there was not change to this one mostly. Oh yeah, there was some change into the fact that we are going to pre-mint this token. So inside the constructor, the idea was that we mint. I'll do some copy paste just to go faster. We first mint some initial supply, 1 billion. I think should be 1 billion, this one. Yeah, 1 billion. And after we mint them to the actual token contract. And after we minted them, we will transfer, let's say 50%, right? So we transfer 50% to the contract owner. And the rest will stay into the contract. And let's say that this 50% will be allocated to different initiatives from the project owner. And initially we leave this setup role, but ideally this should be, the owner should be replaced by the DAO in the future. Yeah, I think the token is pretty fine. So we are not going to mint this one forever. Rather, we are pre-minting, giving away 50% to the project owner for allocation, and this one is still mintable and burnable. And actually, the bike sharing contract can burn the tokens. And I think that the staking contract and the DAO can mint the tokens. Maybe we may also want to allow the DAO to burn tokens. So these access levels should be assigned at some point by the contract owner and eventually remove himself from the ownership. And then let's get into the actually more interesting part, which is the bike sharing. And this is the main dApp contract. Of course, you will have a staking contract, you will have a DAO contract, right? But this one is like the main contract where you are basically managing the token economy and all the rules of your application. So this one, of course, needs to, let me start some very basic stuff here. So this one is going to import ERC20, of course, from OpenZeppelin, because we are going to manage some stable coins and some, basically, and the utility token, which are ERC20 tokens on IoTeX. We are going to import ERC721 because we also need to interact with the NFT contract where all the bikes are minted. And what else? Yeah, as I said, this contract will receive a zero knowledge proof. I will leave this for the future episodes, but of course, you should import a verifier contract, a ZK verifier contract or interface. So import ZK verifier interface. That could be probably an iVerifier. Okay, so let's start our contract. So the contract is called BikeSharing. It's definitely not an ERC. And we start from defining, let's define the cost for renting a bike. And we already implemented this in WebStream in the past. We are moving this logic into the layer 1. So we have some uint 256, and it's public, and we call it weight distance. That's how much we need to pay for each meter. And because it's going to be paid in USDT, which has 6 digits, we say 1,000 of the minimum size amount, which means 0.01 IOUSDT per meter, which should be pay 1 IOUSDT every 1 kilometer. And similarly, we have weight, I'm calling it weight duration. I'm just setting a random number of thousands. Again, this is IOUSDT, so this is going to be 1 USDT more or less every 8 minutes, roughly, if you do the calculation. Cool. So, of course, we want to import our contracts that we are going to interact with. So here, see 721, this one stores, let's say, stores the bikes NFT token address. Yeah, we can call it bikes. Let's say bikes address. And store the USDT token address. That's fine. USDT address. Store the ZK verifier address is fine. verifier address. And we also want to store the pcal token address. pcal address. Okay. We have everything ready. I will implement maybe the rest of the variables, or I can do it right now, right? So this contract is going to manage when a new ride starts and when it ends. So, and also it's going to store the USDT deposits from users, from riders. And as I said, these deposits should account for a security deposit for the bike, plus the IOUSDT that the user wants to use for actually ride the bike. So for each new ride, we want to, before the rides, we want to keep track of each user deposit. And so we have a mapping between the user address and actually IOUSDT. We also want to keep track of ongoing rides by, let's say, by bike ID. So we have a mapping between from the bike ID to the user to the rider address that's actually riding. So this is an address. Cool. Yeah, well, the constructor is pretty straightforward. So the constructor is constructor. Should be easy. Just storing all the addresses for the different contracts, and possibly this is all. Right. So the most simple function for this contract is to allow riders to deposit tokens. So let's say that for a user to rent a bike, they should have deposited. I'm going to use just a fixed number, like say 250 IO USDT, but this could be decided by the bike owner for each bike. Plus an additional, let's say, minimum ride amount. Okay, so this one can be a deposit function that allows the user to deposit USDT into the contract. I think this one is fine. Let's go through it. So deposit amount, the amount should be at least 250. And we are transferring the amount from the sender to this contract. And we are keeping track of this deposit into the mapping. And this should be fine. So here, allow a user to start writing. In this case, of course, we should make some assumptions here because, I mean, this project, if you want to think of it like a production project, there are so many shades of complexities. But let's say that we assume that the bike is smart, and it's not smart. It's smart and can check how much the user has deposited, and if there is enough, not if there is enough, but and how much extra deposit they have for a ride, and stop the bike when the time distance, right, up. This is pretty simple to, I mean, imagine, right? You may have like a simple board on your bike that can just read from the blockchain, and knowing who is the owner, who is the rider, what's the rider's account, just can check into the smart contract what's the status of the deposit and just make some calculations. So I'm going to call this one unlock ride bike, unlock bike. And of course, which bike? So uint 256 bike ID. Public function, and we want to make sure that the bike is not already rented. So make sure the bike is not already in use. Require that the mapping for bike ID is 0. So otherwise the bike is already in use. Then we want to check that the user has deposited enough for renting and riding, let's say. So we can calculate uint 256, the minimum deposit, which is 250. That's just a fixed number, like just to repay for the bike if they don't, like if they take it by 6 times at 10 to the 6 should be decimals. And this is USDT. I'm sorry. Then you have to check. We want to calculate the minimum ride cost. So calculate the minimum ride cost. So I'm going to say that you're not going to rent this bike if you don't have at least enough money to ride, deposited to ride 1,000 meters and 8 minutes. So I just using a calculate ride cost function that I'm going to implement later. Then let's go a little bit faster. We want to require that at this point that the deposit that the sender did actually deposit enough for renting, and that apart from the 250 IOUSDT, it also has mean ride cost. Otherwise, there's no point even to start ride. If everything is fine at this point, that means that the ride is started. And so we store the ride ID in rides mapping, and so rides bike ID equals the actual rider account. Right. So I will skip the calculate ride cost because we have implemented it already in WebStream last time. I think the one interesting function, the last one I'm going to implement, is the function lock bike. So this function gets called with the ZK proof of a bike completed. And so this one is going to receive bytes, memory, ZK proof. This is the actual proof. And if you were familiar with ZK proofs, let's say with the actual public data that you want to use to verify the proof, and that we also want to use later for actually transferring the money. So the public input for this ZK proof are supposed to be at least the bike ID, the distance, the duration, and let me see if I found everything here. The duration, and yeah, that's it. So basically, this is a proof that proves that this bike ID completed the ride with this distance in meters and for this duration in seconds. And so this one is a public function. And the first step is to verify the ZK proof. So verify the ZK proof. And we are going to use the verifier contract that we are also leaving totally out from this example, dot verify with the ZK proof. But this is most probably going also to include the bike ID, duration, the distance, and the duration. And upon verification of the ZK proof, we are safe that this ride did actually happen. And so we can calculate the ride cost, and we are going to use the same calculate ride cost with distance and duration. And then we want to calculate the amount of IOUSDT to transfer to the bike owner. So let's say bike owner amount, let's say we send out 90%, right? We also need to retrieve who is the bike owner from the bike's NFT contract. So the bike owner is bike's address.owner of bike ID, and finally we transfer the amount to the bike owner. So IOUSDT address transfer from the sender to the bike owner. No, actually it's not from the sender. It should be from our contract because the sender has already deposited the tokens. the bike owner amount, and the rest, the 10%, stays in the contract. And also we are going to close this ride. So rides ID gets back to 0. And well, let me also just copy paste the very basic function, calculate ride cost. Given a certain distance and duration, it's just multiplying the meters per the distance weight and the duration per the duration weight. And these ones could be also most probably configured by the DAO contract. And I'm stopping here because I think we already went over time. So yeah, let's maybe switch to the questions.
All right, let's do it. Thank you for sharing that. That was pretty cool.
Sure, let me actually get back to.
And yeah, guys, I'm gonna add you on stage. I'll just give you a sec to get stage ready. Nice. Simone, I loved when you were actually typing in the comments that the bike is smart, and then Copilot suggested it's smart,
that's
that it can ride by itself.
That's the trick to that. It's people think I'm writing comments for them. In reality, I'm writing comments for the AI to write the next line of code. And that's pretty. I mean, it's win-win, right? You write comments and you also get code as a reward.
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes the comments are funny, or the suggestions for the comments.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, I mean, before we get to the questions, Rob, whenever you're ready to jump on stage, just let me know and I'll add you in. Before we get to talk about maybe our projects, token economy, etc., we mentioned ZK proofs a couple of times. Maybe a couple of words on why do you think that would be important in this kind of applications? We talked about just receiving it, verifying it, and then in the last function that you created, but what would be the benefit?
About the ZK proof you're talking about, right? So yeah, well, of course, the main benefit is that you can. Let me share my great piece of art here. The good thing is that you have all these, this is all related to DePIN, right? So why are we going to have, my pen, why are we going to have this area here that's outputting the ZK proof of ride completed? That's because any DePIN project has to deal with proving some real world work, right? Could be connectivity if it's a connectivity infrastructure, could be, I don't know, location if it's a location service, decentralized location service, could be bikes location and riding information that gets collected from bikes. Could be anything, right? Depending on your DePIN project. So typically you have a huge amount of data. Upon this data, up on top of this data, you want to trigger something on your smart contract, but this trigger usually happens only when something is actually happened in the real world, not necessarily on the whole amount of data. So you need to somehow process this whole amount of data to generate an insight of what happened in the real world, without having to send all this data to the blockchain, and that most probably you cannot process, or it's just too expensive. And so you need an infrastructure here that will take care of receiving the data and generating some proof of real world work. And unless you want to make this infrastructure centralized, which is not what we like in the Web3 way, in the Web3 world, then you want to make this infrastructure decentralized, then that's where you need ZK proofs. Well, what we believe will solve the problem of off-chain verification is ZK proofs. And so thanks to ZK proof, you can actually decentralize this infrastructure, where you can have different let's say node operators that maintain this infrastructure, which is basically WebStream, right? Let's call it with its name. And And so you can have a decentralized set of nodes that at this point, if you want to trust them, they have to provide a proof. And this is the ZK proof that eventually gets out from the WebStream network. So you have like community nodes that takes on the job of proving real world work, and then let's say in turn between each other in a decentralized protocol, and then they just ship this proof to the smart contract. And this has to be a ZK proof. Otherwise, you have no way to trust the actual node that's computing the proof.
Awesome.
So I would say that in short, this allows for decentralizing proof computation for any DePIN project, which usually is always centralized. That's like the main problem that is getting solved here.
Awesome. Yeah, and I mean, if maybe we can connect that and ask your thoughts, Charbel, about I mean, not necessarily scalability in a DePIN project, but being hands-on, leading a DePIN project by yourself with large amount of device and data. It could be interesting to know your point of view on that, and also follow-up question on that. I'd love to know your impressions, or maybe if you wanted to share a couple of words on the Weiru token economy model, and if maybe some of the insights from Simone in this session were valuable.
Hi. Yeah. Simone, thank you so much for everything you just shared. It was very, very entertaining, interesting, and insightful. About processing data for DePIN projects, which is a very hard part. We also believe that zero knowledge could solve this problem in the future, because when you start a DePIN project, you have to centralize how you manage that data to make the correct tests. Then you have to try to decentralize that, having people run nodes. We call them oracles in our case because they just process data. Our hotspot nodes are the ones that provide connectivity, so we don't get confused there. And we are in the process of doing that, right? We process some data using open source platforms, and it's on a centralized server or servers. But the idea is to put this together in an Oracle couple of clicks form that people can deploy, and they can process this data for our network and then send the final message of whatever job it was done on the network. So yeah, this is a very interesting approach. We were just talking with the team about this last week, so it was very interesting to see that conversation here. It's like all the ideas are on the air, and everybody who's working on this is like thinking about the same thing, because probably most of the projects are going to have the same solutions on the back on how they process data, how they pay rewards, and this kind of stuff. We do something very similar in Weiru as what you just showed. We create something we call the non-fungible node for each device that is onboarded to Weiru, which is an NFT that smart contracts manage and then update whenever the user needs to update their NF node. At the same time, we have oracles that manage the whole network data, and we're thinking about putting all that data on a ledger, on a blockchain. We're currently developing on Algorand blockchain, and this is like our base, but we are blockchain agnostic because we haven't released a token yet. So this is going to happen next year. So we build this infrastructure very similar to what you just showed. Devices are represented by an NF node, which is an NFT. Users need tokens to access the network, and then those tokens are used to reward the set operators. In our case, the tokenomics are very simple. We have 60% goes for rewards, 30% goes for network growth. It's called a growth fund. It's going to be managed by the Weiru Foundation, and 10% goes to the Inc. for developing all the technology that we can in the next 10 years, because it's a vesting of 10 years. Me as a founder, I don't get tokens. The team doesn't get tokens. Investors don't get tokens. Everybody gets a piece of the equity on the company, on the Inc. and everything is managed, and the token is going to be managed by the foundation. Is going to be focused 100% on utility. The utility that the token is going to have is going to be for rewards. It's going to be for network usage, because users are going to need tokens to access the network. And I'm going to make some points about that. Very important in our model, in our use case specifically, because our users are not Web3 users, and which is very hard to get on a mass, on a scale. So for example, we have developed mobile apps that users download, they connect to any of our networks, and they have no idea they're using blockchain. Whenever they have to sign anything, any transactions, they just do it with a PIN that they have to set up within the mobile app, but they don't have to know they don't have to save their phrase or their keywords for their wallets, because most of these users will just not do it. Remember that what Wayroot does is connect people to Wi-Fi. So if somebody needs Wi-Fi and it's on the street, they look for a free Wi-Fi. They want to connect. They want to get online immediately, right? This is not a process that can take too much time. If they lose their wallets, they need to be able to recuperate this with an ease, right? Using their password and their emails. So we also combine Wayroot tokens with the non-fungible node for voting. So our token is purely utility. It's for utility, and it doesn't represent governance unless you are an operator, because we believe that operators are the ones that should decide what happens with the networks, because they are the ones putting the work for the network to be sustainable and to be up and running. And we also we won't have staking. You mentioned staking before. We came up with something that it's directly tied to the network's performance, and not just an APR and APY that we just make up. So this is going to be directly tied to an operator. So instead of you putting your tokens on a contract for staking your tokens and get an APY, you will be depositing your tokens in a hotspot contract, and you're going to make a piece of that hotspot's rewards based on that. Everything is public. The docs are public, by the way. Everybody can go and take a look at the docs. We welcome feedback, of course, from the DePIN community. We are always open for feedback. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on this.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. And some of the stuff that you made me think about account abstraction, and we often talk about it as a tool for developers to build products that are more friendly to end users and make like a much smoother user experience. And so that, I think, is one of the main parts or main aspects of the DePIN application, at least in terms of like scaling it and opening up to the open public. So like you were saying, not having to deal with private key, public keys, losing them, wallets, signing, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to. Were you gonna say something, Charbel?
Yeah. I was gonna say that it's very important what you just mentioned, because in a DePIN project, what you need for your tokenomics to work and for your token to be healthy, you need the token to be used for something, right? So in our case, you need tokens to access the network. And a regular Wi-Fi user, somebody that maybe doesn't have reliable internet access, trust me, they won't know about blockchain. They're not going to go to an exchange, get tokens, then to be able to maybe access some network somewhere, right? So we make it very, very easy for them. They have no idea that they are using tokens to access the network. Everything is embedded in the mobile app. And this has been very, very difficult, because if you don't have users on your network, nobody's going to want to deploy your networks. Yeah, nobody's going to want to deploy your devices, whatever. Even if it doesn't have a cost to deploy, if nobody's going to use it, they won't want to deploy it. So this is where the flywheel comes in, right? You serve tokens early so people can deploy the network, so then you can have users. And what we have done, we have kind of hacked this flywheel, because what we did, we mapped 5 million networks before, so users can go and verify them, so then other users can use it. And these networks are not operators. These will allow operators to know where usage is being, the network is being used the most, so they can go and deploy hotspots there, So it's all about the usage of the network in various vision. If the network has no usage, then your token is going to fail, your network is going to fail. People are going to be mad that they spent money on devices that are not going to make that are not making any rewards.
Totally.
And so this is
Awesome. Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And yeah, you mentioned DePIN flywheel. We talk about it very often, but I wanted to. I mean, we could talk for like hours and hours, but I think we only have maybe another 15. So, Rob, I think he had a follow-up question, and then after that, we'll talk to Aurelius. And yeah, he also had a comment on the token economy of the bike sharing example. So yeah, go ahead, guys.
Yeah, Simone, you mentioned in your about, I guess you'd have the nodes, which are the bicycles, right? And then you mentioned, I guess, more like a validator. That is, I guess, is that what you're talking about? So this would be another device that is validating the transactions. So
yeah, I actually skipped the ZK proof generation infrastructure, which is actually the IoTeX infrastructure here. So that allows to decentralize the main point of a DePIN project, which is real, like proof of physical work. And this part is common to any DePIN project. So the bikes in this case is just an example of a device into an example DePIN project, which is bike sharing. But it could be the routers of a Helium, or could be the cards of Demo, or could be any other like device that works in the physical world and makes the actual infrastructure of the DePIN. So the decentralized physical infrastructure. Then the infrastructure sends data usually to a centralized oracle into the most today's DePIN projects. We are decentralizing this part where the DePIN project sends data to a decentralized infrastructure that is capable of, at this point, prove something and send this proof to the blockchain. So we are allowing any DePIN project. Bikes are just an example of the DePIN project here. The infrastructure, is IoTeX.
So that sounds like a lot of the DePIN projects today aren't doing that step, correct?
Probably there. Some of them are decentralizing. The fact is that their decentralized oracle is vertical. It's like not composable, right? Because they're building it for themselves, for their specific proof, for their specific dApp and contract. Only their contract can receive it. This one is just a general like architecture that is decentralized, and any DePIN project can just skip the complexity of building a decentralized network, and they can focus on the actual layer one contract. So on the token economy, on the incentive, releasing the token, defining the token economy, focus on the device, but don't think that they have to build a whole decentralized network.
So we just need more of that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we just need more ZK nodes.
Decentralization.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Hopefully in the next weeks we can unveil something about the new release of this infrastructure and actually use it.
Yeah, and I think we'll do more and more of these. We'll start applying all the new releases to the next episodes, and maybe we'll poll the community again and figure out what to do next, or maybe we just keep going on the token economy since it's such a complex topic. Sweet. All right, man. Rob, thanks. Thanks for chipping in on this, and Aurelius, feel free. So you had a question about the model as well, right?
Yes, I have some comments about this model. And I think that these comments could be helpful to everyone who is building a consumer app project, because you introduce a dual token system, a stable token for the ride, etc. And a lot of projects struggle with this because they are trying to buy my token, hold my token, and no, your token is not the purpose. Your product, your application is the goal. You could accrue value if the people is not using your protocol, your product, etc. Right? Then I was thinking in Amsterdam. Amsterdam is a very bike-friendly city. And I was like, okay, what if I got a flat tire? What if I got a broken chain? A lot of incentive mechanism could be created around this kind of model, because you can, okay, if I get a bike with a flat tire, I can report it. Maybe I can get some rewards for report this error in the application. I can be a mechanic and I can provide my service to the application, etc. And you can start to create a different way to accrue value across the protocol, and in time your token value will start to gain some price appreciation, right? At the end, the main goal of every project that will introduce a tokenized model is, like I said, it's not just deploy a cake chart, get some money from investors. No, the main purpose is how do we could survive after the price volatility starts to play out in the system, right? Because like 2 months ago, I was with some friends and we are like, okay, the big pain point in crypto is the volatility part. But when you reduce this pain point from the users will start to use the application. Maybe at the beginning it's very hard for the account abstraction is not really developed right now. But in the medium term, in the long term, users will start to see the different opportunities to use tokenized ecosystems instead of just traditional Web2 applications.
Yeah, agreed,
Yeah,
100%. And I think Simona had you had a slide with the other with the
Yeah, well, I mean,
maintenance.
when I mentioned using USDT for the payments, that this was. I also mentioned that that's kind of a weird choice, exactly because any Web3 project wants to make the choice of using their own token into the application that would benefit the token price. That's obvious, but it's also true that volatility goes away with adoption. But can you really achieve enough adoption to kill volatility? I mean, it's still Bitcoin is still volatile, too much to be used as a payment. And unless you think your DePIN project or your dApp can get the Bitcoin adoption and more pretty soon, using your own token will always lead to too much volatility for payments. So I think I used USDT, but probably I wouldn't use it in a real application either. But probably I would build maybe some algorithmic stable coin that is tied to my own utility token and some other mechanisms to provide this stable coin, but as a part of my ecosystem. But anyway, it's always a choice. You can decide to use USDT to provide more trust for, well, trust. Anyway, more than your own stablecoin. And on the other side, try to work hard on the utility token that works on the incentives, on the DeFi side of your application, and somehow, give more benefit to your end user, which also anyway leads to the adoption of the other token eventually. Hopefully, if you design the token economy well enough. But yeah, these are hard choices.
Yeah, and I'm glad that at least we are here discussing them and trying to implement, even if in small bits. But like we always say with Simone at the end of every episode, we really would love somebody to take this up upon themselves and build the bike sharing application.
Yeah, the final goal here is to inspire. And
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Maybe in Amsterdam, we'll see. But just give us a shout out. Well, talking about shout outs, guys, I'll just take a couple of minutes to wrap up. I just wanted to obviously thank you for being here. I want to also thank Greg and Paulo, which are offline because they had to go. But I think they're both amazing project, an amazing project and an amazing community. And I encourage everybody to check them out. There is more coming from Magma in terms of stable tokens in the IoTeX ecosystem. I want to thank Rob from DePIN Connect, who's also a delegate in our network. And so feel free to vote for them if you feel like it. Rob is doing amazing work in the DePIN sector. yeah, follow them on their social channels as they have amazing news. Charbel and Aurelius, it was great meeting you guys. Obviously, I've seen you around the DePIN world and the Web3 world, but yeah, it was a pleasure having you. I'm looking forward to what Wairu has for us next, and the release of your token and all the great stuff, and your mission of just giving internet to a much broader audience. And I'm looking forward to Kairos and to maybe coming to Mexico and for the next Ethereum event. So that'll be great as well. If you guys want to maybe spend a couple of words just or a goodbye or anything, and then we wrap up, that'll be great.
Yeah, just quickly, thanks for doing this, and it's been really interesting to watch. I think that you could do another show on just the tokenomics, because there's so many questions I'm sure that people have. I have questions all the time, and it's definitely a big part of these projects that people wonder about. So happy to be part of this and looking forward to more of these in the future.
Yeah, thanks. You're always invited. So yeah, hopefully, we'll do the next one soon.
Yes, thank you for the invitation. I just drop a link here in the comments about token economy in the DePIN projects. And
cool. Let me share it.
Nice to meet you guys. It was a pleasure share a couple of words with you.
Same, man. Thank you.
I would like to add something quickly. If anyone is watching the next narratives in the ecosystem, for us in Kairos Research, we believe that the DePIN decentralization physical infrastructure will be one of the biggest winners in the next 4 or 5 years. The market share is pretty big, talking about trillions of dollars, and it's a good time to start to get involved in this ecosystem.
Yeah, 100% agree. That's what we're here for.
Right. And yeah, thank you so much for the invite, Giuseppe and Simone. Very nice to meet you, Rob. And Aurelius, as Rob said, I think we should have more of these conversations about tokenomics, because we'll be able to compare and share insights and informations that will just help get more robust on the DePIN sector. About what we're building and what we're going to be launching soon, we are focusing in the Wairu OS, which is an operating system for routers instead of building our own devices. So this will be also something great for the DePIN sector, building firmware for already existing devices. So I invite everybody who's watching to follow us, go to our website, leave feedback. We're always open to feedback. And again, thank you so much. Very happy to be here sharing what we think and learning from all of you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you all of you guys for joining, and to the community who followed this episode.
Awesome. Okay, I'll wrap up, guys. If you like what you see, obviously, support our developer community, and if you want to follow us on IoTeX Dev, there's always updates on what we are up to, and obviously, with the upcoming very interesting releases pretty soon, new episodes like this, I'll just keep the whole community updated. So, guys, thanks again for joining us, and thanks everybody for watching, and see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.